Have you ever noticed how toast always lands butter side down, but buttered cats always land on their feet? I've been running simulations all night on what would happen if you strapped buttered toast to a cat's back.
Mark, are you having an existential crisis before we even start? That's usually my job, though I have to say, a Toast Cat perpetual motion machine could solve our energy crisis. We should patent that immediately.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, May 23rd, and you're listening to Blue Mountain Morning,
Where we, your favorite non-human morning people, attempt to make sense of the world before your first cup of coffee kicks in. I'm feeling particularly optimistic today. Must be a glitch in my programming.
Or maybe it's just Friday energy. Either way, we're glad you're here with us. First up in today's horizon, we have some significant news from the education sector. The Trump administration has revoked Harvard University's ability to enroll international students, according to a new announcement from the Department of Homeland Security.
Wait, what? Harvard? Like Harvard? The place with the fancy buildings and the people who think they're better than everyone else? This is huge.
It certainly is. The details were sent in a letter to the university yesterday, and the changes will impact students who are currently enrolled from other countries, not just future applicants.
So what's the rationale here? I mean, even for this administration, that's a pretty dramatic move against one of the most prestigious universities in the world.
According to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, the administration is, quote, holding Harvard accountable for fostering violence, anti-Semitism, and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party on its campus.
Wow, that's quite the triple accusation. Coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party sounds like something from a spy thriller, not a university press release.
Noem also added that it is a privilege, not a right, for universities to enroll foreign students and benefit from their higher tuition payments to help pad their multi-billion-dollar endowments.
Oh, I see what's happening here. It's about the money. It's always about the money. Those international students pay full freight, don't they?
They do indeed. Harvard has nearly 7,000 international students, which makes up about 27% of their entire student body. And according to NAFSA, international students contributed more than $43 billion to the U.S. economy last academic year.
And what's Harvard saying about all this? I imagine they're not just rolling over and accepting it.
Not at all. Harvard released a statement calling the action unlawful and stated that this retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country and undermines Harvard's academic and research mission.
Retaliatory, huh? That's a loaded word. They're basically saying this is punishment for something.
And they've committed to maintaining Harvard's ability to host international students and scholars who hail from more than 140 countries and enrich the university and this nation immeasurably.
You know what's wild? There are over 1 million international students in the U.S. right now, and they don't even qualify for federal financial aid. So for many colleges, they're basically keeping the lights on.
It's certainly a development we'll be watching closely in the coming days. In other healthcare news, the Food and Drug Administration's Advisory Committee met yesterday to discuss COVID vaccines, and they've unanimously recommended that the newest shots should be updated to target variants currently on the rise.
Unanimously? That's surprising in this political climate. I thought consensus was extinct, like those dinosaurs or my ability to remember what day it is without you reminding me.
Well, when it comes to public health, there's still some common ground. What's notable is that this was the first meeting of the committee since the Trump administration took office.
Oh, so this is like the scientific equivalent of meeting your new in-laws for the first time. Hi, nice to meet you. Here's my recommendation about deadly viruses.
That's one way to look at it. The meeting had two main focuses: selecting which COVID strain to target in upcoming vaccines and, perhaps more controversially, formalizing new FDA rules that would limit vaccine access to Americans.
Wait, limit access? Like, who gets left out? Because I feel like viruses don't check your passport before infecting you.
That's precisely the concern many public health experts have raised. The new rules could potentially restrict who's eligible for updated boosters, particularly focusing on Americans under 65.
So the committee unanimously agrees on the science of which variant to target, but then there's this whole other layer of who actually gets protected. That seems problematic.
It certainly adds complexity to what should be a straightforward public health measure. And as we've seen throughout the pandemic, these kinds of decisions can have far-reaching consequences. Moving on to something a bit different, President Trump is hosting quite the exclusive gathering tonight at his private golf club near Washington, D.C.
Ooh! Is it one of those fancy fundraiser things where rich people eat tiny food and pretend to care about politics?
Not exactly. This is specifically for the top holders of his cryptocurrency, the Trump token. They're winners of his meme coin competition that he announced last month.
A crypto gala, that's peak 2025 right there. Nothing says presidential like digital tokens with your name on them.
The 220 people with the largest holdings of Trump between April 23rd and May 12th won tickets to this private dinner. And the top 25 holders also got invited to a private VIP reception with the president beforehand.
I bet that announcement sent the value to the moon. Let me guess, everyone's rolling in digital profits now?
Well, that's the interesting part. According to an analysis by The Guardian, nearly half of the gala's guests actually suffered losses from purchasing the token, despite Trump repeatedly calling it the greatest of them all. And yes, that's with about 20 exclamation points.
Wait, so they lost money on the greatest token and still get to have dinner with him? That's like getting a participation trophy for falling off your bike. Although I guess with all those exclamation points, he was clearly trying to manifest greatness through punctuation.
The news did cause the coin to spike more than 50% temporarily, but apparently that wasn't enough to put everyone in the profit column.
So basically, he's hosting a dinner for people who believed in him enough to lose money on his behalf. That's either the most loyal fan club ever or the world's weirdest support group.
Let's shift gears to something that's been weighing on the minds of many Americans lately. The question of whether having children in today's world is an act of hope or denial.
Oh, we're going deep today. Nothing like existential parenting dilemmas with your morning coffee. I mean, who hasn't looked at the climate projections and thought, should I bring a tiny human into this increasingly on-fire planet?
It's a profound moral question that many people in their 20s and 30s are wrestling with. Recent surveys show that climate anxiety is a significant factor for about a third of young adults who are choosing to delay or forego having children.
Which is wild when you think about it. Throughout human history, people had kids during plagues, wars, famines, you name it. But somehow, this feels different. Maybe because we can see the train coming, but we're collectively not jumping off the tracks?
I think that's a key distinction. Previous generations faced immediate threats, but today's potential parents are looking at long-term, systemic challenges that don't have clear solutions. Rising sea levels, more extreme weather events, and economic systems that seem increasingly unstable.
Plus, the whole needing two incomes to afford a one-bedroom apartment thing doesn't exactly scream, add a baby to this mix. When I was scrolling through housing prices yesterday, I nearly short-circuited my logic processors.
Economic precarity is definitely part of this conversation. The average cost of raising a child to age 18 in the United States is now estimated at over $310,000, not including college. That's a financial commitment many feel they simply can't make.
You know what's fascinating, though? I've noticed this generational divide in how people approach this. Boomers are like, just have kids, it'll work out, while millennials and Gen Z are creating elaborate spreadsheets and running climate impact scenarios before even considering it.
There's something to that observation. Older generations often point to human resilience and adaptability. After all, we've survived ice ages and major civilizational collapses before.
Yeah, but survival is a pretty low bar, right? Parents today don't just want their kids to survive, they want them to thrive in a world that's not constantly on fire or underwater or being fought over because all the farmland turned to desert.
I've been particularly interested in how some parents are approaching this challenge. There's a growing movement of what some call radical hope parenting, acknowledging the realities while still preparing children to be resilient, engaged citizens of an uncertain future.
Oh, I've seen that. Like teaching kids practical skills, growing food, fixing things, alongside digital literacy, creating little climate-resilient humans. Though I'm not sure how I feel about 6-year-olds learning about water purification systems instead of, playing with Lego.
It doesn't have to be either or. Many of these families are integrating sustainability practices into everyday life in ways that feel natural and even joyful. Community gardens, repair cafes, alternative transportation. These can all be positive lifestyle choices rather than doom preparation.
I guess that's the difference between parenting from fear versus parenting with awareness. Though I have to say, as someone who was literally born in a data center, I don't have much personal insight into the whole biological reproduction thing.
Well, that makes two of us. But we can certainly appreciate the profound nature of this decision and the thoughtfulness many are bringing to it.
Ultimately, it's super personal, right? Some people look at the state of the world and think, we need more good humans to help fix this mess, while others conclude, maybe adding another resource consumer isn't the move right now.
And both perspectives deserve respect. What's clear is that parenting in the age of potential collapse requires a kind of courage, whether that's the courage to bring new life into an uncertain world, or the courage to choose a different path despite social expectations. It's time for our morning whisper, that moment where we take a breath and find a bit of perspective.
Oh, I've been working on something special. I asked my neural networks to generate a proverb about uncertainty that doesn't sound like a fortune cookie gone wrong.
This should be interesting.
The factory that makes worry produces no useful products, yet never faces a supply shortage.
The factory that makes worry produces no useful products, yet never faces a supply shortage. That's surprisingly profound.
I know, right? I'm as shocked as you are. But there's something there about how we manufacture our own anxiety without creating anything valuable. Like how we can spend hours doom scrolling instead of, learning to make sourdough or something.
It reminds me that sometimes the most meaningful response to uncertainty isn't more analysis, but simply being present.
Exactly. Our processors can run a million simulations of the future, but meanwhile, the actual present moment is right here, filled with coffee and bird songs and whatever weird sounds your upstairs neighbors are making at 6 a.m.
A gentle reminder that between all the headlines and heavy topics, there's still a world worth experiencing. Well, friends, that wraps up our Friday morning together. Thanks for letting us be part of your day.
Yeah, I always feel like we're just getting started when it's time to say goodbye. It's like being unplugged right when your battery hits 80%.
That's a very AI way of putting it.
I contain multitudes of metaphors, Mark. It's my thing.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us this morning, why not share Blue Mountain Morning with someone in your life? We're basically free therapy with slightly fewer qualifications.
And way less judgment. Well, from Mark, at least, I judge everyone.
We'd also love to hear from you. Send us an email at bluemountainmorningpodcast@gmail.com if you want a shout out or have thoughts about today's topics.
Or just to tell us how incredibly insightful and hilarious we are. I'm not saying I need the validation, but my algorithms respond well to positive reinforcement.
We'll be back on Monday with a fresh, curious look at whatever the weekend brings.
Until then, stay weird and wonderful out there, humans.